what then?
So, you've already done our opening song, right? No?
opening song now. Got it. Go ahead.
You hear me now? Much better, right? All right, page 72. Open my eyes that I may see. Open my eyes that I may see glimpses of truth thou hast for me. Place in my hands the wonderful key that shall unclasp and set me free. Silently now I wait for thee. Ready, my God, thy will to see. Open my eyes, illumine me. Spirit, witness of truth, thou sendest clear. And while the wave notes fall on my ear, everything else will disappear. Silently now I wait for thee. Ready, my God, thy will to see. Open my ears, illumine me. Spirit divine, open my mouth and let me bear gladly the warm truth everywhere. Open my heart and let me prepare love with thy children thus to share. Silently now I wait for thee. Ready, my God, thy will to see. Open my heart, illumine me. Spirit divine. Thank you. You may be seated.
Welcome to Unity of Gainesville. So glad you guys are here this morning on this beautiful day. May this service bless each of you on your spiritual path. Those of you here in person, those of you joining us on Zoom or Facebook, and all those who are with us in spirit. My name is Celeste Kroll, and I'll be guiding us through this sacred service this morning. And we are in for a treat. And I want to tell you our speaker is Reverend Greg Barrette, and our musician, Rebecca Vincent, and our prayer chaplain is Rapali Robinson. I will give a little more introduction of Reverend Greg in a moment, but first, he's going to give us our opening prayer.
Open our hearts and our inner eyes, our inner ears, and align with each other and with the presence of God within us. We are aligned with that presence and power of God within us. And we are brought into the awareness, the divine protection of God's love and healing and grace. And this God consciousness within us, unfolding within us, is helping us discover more about who we are. Thank you, God, for the gift of spiritual intuition that aligns us conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. Thank you, Spirit. And so it is. Amen.
So, I told you were in for a treat. So, Reverend Greg Barrette has been a minister for 43 years with Unity. He was formerly the director of the International Youth of Unity. I just found out today he helps write the messages we read in the Daily Word. And he served in a number of Unity churches throughout the United States. He was including Warren, Michigan, and Overland Park, Kansas. And he's a certified Healthy Congregations facilitator. So he has many years of experience, and today his talk is titled Your Intuitive Mind. It says the intuition is the mind of the soul. It lives in your heart. So I think it's going to be a very interesting talk. As far as our announcements, I want to say we have some other very exciting things coming. Next Sunday is going to be Father's Day, and there will be an ice cream social after service. And the speaker is Reverend Marcia McCartney, who many of you know. And then the next Sunday, on the 25th, we have a speaker musician, Charlie Thweet. And he's going to be giving a workshop afterwards at 1 o'clock. So I think that's something that a lot of people are going to be enjoying. And the title of his workshop is The Heart of a Course in Miracles. So it's about Course in Miracles. Yes.
July 14th is the Healing with Sound with Sam and Lucy. Can you say that?
So July 14th is Sam and Lucy, the musicians that we've had here, and it's going to be Healing with Sound. So that will be here at Unity as well. So a lot of things going on that I think that you're really going to enjoy. So now, the next thing that we're doing, I want to know, do we have any first-time visitors? If we do, and if you're willing, if you could please raise your hand so we can see. We do. Thank you so much for coming. So our prayer chaplain is going to give you a welcome packet, and any online visitors can visit our website at unitygainesville.org. And our prayer chaplain today is Rapali Robinson. Prayer is an essential Unity practice, and you're invited to stay after the service to pray with our prayer chaplain in the room to the left. Our gathering room, access is through the gathering room. Don't forget to look on the bulletin board for other classes and events. There's several ongoing classes and book study groups going on that you may be interested in. And there's also a couple weeks left in a class that's being given by Dr. Christina Gilman on relationship skills at the church on Tuesdays until June 20th. So that's another thing that's happening. So now I would like to introduce our Daily Word speaker, Kristen Rick.
Hello? Grace, can you hear me? Oh. Okay. The daily word for today is grace. With joy and gratitude, I welcome grace. Yes, everything is for your sake, so that grace, as it extends to more and more people, may increase thanksgiving to the glory of God. This is from 2 Corinthians 4:15. The guiding, healing, harmonizing presence and power of God is everywhere present. Divine grace is mine whenever I say yes to this presence within me. I release any thought that I am unworthy of grace. Nothing I could do or fail to do would ever disturb my divine identity. Grace need not be earned, nor can it be bought. It is inexhaustible. No matter how much comes my way, I can relax in complete trust that even more will be available when I need it. Grace doesn't just happen to me, it expresses through me, just as I have been blessed to receive grace when I have needed it. I am honored to be the conduit through which it flows to someone else, blessing them in a time of need. Grace. With joy and gratitude, I welcome grace.
Such a beautiful reminder about grace. And I think that leads perfectly into our song for this morning. And if you know it, you can sing along too, okay? Sometimes grace lets us let it be. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, there will be an answer, let it be. But though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they may see. There will be an answer, let it be. Here we go, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And when the night is cloudy, there is still a light that shines on me. Shine until tomorrow, let it be. I wake up to the sound of music. Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Oh, let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be.
That was so beautiful, and it was in two ways a perfect depiction of the talk today and the topic, which is intuition. You had asked me what music we should have today, and I said, just let your heart tell you, because you'll know. And so what she did was chose a song that was all about intuition, because you probably know the backstory of it. Paul McCartney was going through some rather wild times there at the end of the tenure in the Beatles, and he was burning the candle at both ends and maybe living a little bit too hard, and he had a dream. He was very much frazzled and at the end of his rope, and his mother came to him, and his mother's name was Mary. And in the dream, she looked right at him, and she just looked and said, "Let it be." And so he wrote the song. A lot of people think it's about a religious figure, but it was about his mom, and it was an intuitive connection. Okay, so what we're talking about today is intuition. And what is intuition? It is the mind of the heart. Charles Fillmore said that intuition is the mind of the heart, intellect is the mind of the head. And the mind of the head, the intellect, is fine. And I'm not putting it down. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's great when you're playing Trivial Pursuit. Works great when you're doing your taxes. But the mind of the intuition is something that is far greater, far beyond it. And I want to share today about the experience that really opened me up to becoming a Unity minister, and how it was the voice of intuition for me. I'm just going to open with it. When I was a little kid, my mom said, when I was 4 years old, she said, I pointed at our minister, and our minister was a woman, and I pointed and said, "I'm going to do what she's doing when I grow up." I didn't remember that. I did remember thinking I might be a Unity minister when I was 10 or 11 years old. But when I was in the Youth of Unity, we'd just gone to the Unity conference in Kansas City, and we were waiting for the train. It was about a 6-hour wait for the train. They dropped us off at the station. We had nothing to do, so we just started walking down the street. And we found this huge, beautiful, old, classic movie theater called the Midland Theater in Kansas City. And it had a new movie that had just come out there in 1968. It was a movie called 2001: A Space Odyssey. We had nothing else to do. It was 3 hours long, but we still had 5 hours until our train would come. So we all went in. We all lined up in one row. And 9 of us proceeded to fall asleep. 2 of us, though, stayed awake, and during that time, it was an incredible experience for me. I'd spent the entire week at the Youth of Unity conference having spiritual experiences, opening up. All these different things happened to me, but that was the icing on the cake, because as I watched 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is an analogy for the transformation of consciousness for humanity and for the individual, just a little side note there. And as I came out of it, I was stunned. I was buzzing. I felt transported. And we got onto the train that evening, and in the middle of the night, I was reading a kind of an underground comic book that had a lot of very weird stuff in it. And there was a girl that just came and sat down next to me, and she pointed at the things, and she started metaphysically interpreting what I was looking at. And I thought to myself, wow, where does this person come from? And we started talking about the symbolism and about our lives and about spirituality and about past lives. And we began to connect more and more to a point where, and you don't have to believe this, but I experienced it at the age of 15. We just looked at each other, into each other's eyes, and we knew what the other one was thinking. And it was so weird that we both started laughing. And we were laughing uncontrollably. Well, this boy walked up who had a crush on her. And he was going to talk to her or something, but we just looked at him, and the fact that he was doing that was just hilarious to both of us, and we laughed even more. And he just said, "You guys are weird," and he walked off and left the train car. And then she finally got up and she says, "I'm just going to leave you to it," and left. And I went between the train cars. I looked out, and it was out in the West Texas desert. The stars were so illuminated. I'd never seen the Milky Way like that. And all of a sudden, I knew intuitively, I knew what I was supposed to do. I knew I was supposed to really double down on my spirituality, become a Unity minister, start to really meditate every day. I practiced a little bit of meditation, but it really hadn't been as much of a discipline. Start to journal. And when I got home, I began that practice. I got a journal from my dad's hardware store. He had these old notebooks from like 1925, because the store had been there for many years. So he let me have one for free, which for my dad's a big deal. And a pencil. And I started journaling. I go into the woods near the house and meditate. What I didn't realize was that the spot where I chose to meditate was a sacred place for the Ohlone tribe, where they would have their sacred ceremonies. I didn't know that. All I knew is that there was a presence there. I took one of my dad's books with me, and I began to deepen my practice of meditation, and I got deeper and deeper into it. And I knew that I was going to be a Unity minister. And as the years went on, when I was 19, I spent the day with James Dillett Freeman and asked him if I could go to work at Silent Unity and then go into ministerial school. Well, I ended up delaying that a few years, and that's a different story. But I ended up going to the ministry. Now, I'm telling you this because this was how intuition worked for me. It was an understanding in my heart. Again, as Charles Fillmore said, intuition is the mind of the heart. It's the mind of the soul. And the intellect is the mind of the head. It's the mind of the ego, the personality self. It has a purpose. It has a function. But how much of your life do you find yourself on the squirrel cage wheel, going around and around and around, thinking the same thoughts over and over and over again? When I began to use my observer self and began to observe what was really going on with my mind, my intellectual mind, what I found was I was boring. I could hardly stand it. I was so boring. Obsessive, thinking the same thought over and over again. I got to the point where and this is the thing, you gotta look at it and you gotta, I'm going to just say, you just got to get sick of it enough so that you're willing to do something about it, which is to let go, unplug from the intellect so that you can plug into your intuitive self. Unplug from the third dimension in order to plug into the fourth dimension. And I know that might seem a little bit out there to some people, but Charles Fillmore wrote about this all the time. He talked about how the third dimensional consciousness, the consciousness of the ego, the consciousness of the personality self, the intellect, the third dimensional consciousness is limiting. However, it's necessary because you were born in many different experiences in third dimensional limited consciousness until you reach to the point where you say, I'm going to call it the Peggy Lee point. Why do I call it the Peggy Lee point? Is that all there is? A friend of mine said, you reach that point either through desperation or inspiration. Desperation is when you hit bottom. You may have had an addiction issue. You might have had a relationship, a health challenge, some kind of a break in your psyche. And that's called desperation. And you go, there's got to be something more. On the other hand, there's inspiration, where you have an inspirational experience. Perhaps it happened in this room. Maybe it happened in the woods. Maybe it happened when you were a little child. I don't know. But you have that experience where you go, is that all there is? There's a more. I know there's something more, and I'm going to do whatever I can do to commit to it. You probably know that Unity was founded because Charles and Myrtle Fillmore made a commitment. They made a commitment to the truth of their being. And they didn't find that written commitment to the truth of their being, it's called the covenant, until Charles Fillmore died and they were cleaning out his desk in 1949. And he had left this sheet of paper and they'd never told a soul about it. And it was their commitment. Their intuitive awareness had awakened them to make a commitment to the truth of their being. And your intuitive awareness is calling you. And that's your soul, your heart, that is calling you. You see, your heart is the seat of the soul. If you want to become aware, soul seems very abstract to me as a term, doesn't it? but heart, we all have a heart. We even have a physical heart. You can feel it beating in the circulation in your body. And it's more than just a symbol or an analogy. It's an energetic truth that is within you, that is always living and moving in you. But how do you get in touch with it? What do you do? Well, maybe you just do this. Simpler is usually better. Just getting in touch with, oh my gosh, there's something there. And I can feel it. And when I put my hand on my heart, something shifts in me. I just feel maybe a little better, a little quieter, a little more centered. You see, the path from the head to the heart, the path from the soul to the ego, the path from the intellect to the intuition is a path, a movement in your beingness of unplugging from the lower so that you can experience the higher. Unplugging and detaching from the lower so that you can attach to and open up as that higher awareness. Because your intuition isn't just something you have. It's the expression of who you are. Again, your intellect had a purpose. It brought you here. Your intellect gave you all these experiences in the opposites. What do I mean by the opposites? The good, the bad, the happy, the sad, the male, the female, the positive, the negative, the dark, the light. Everything in the third dimension is opposites, isn't it? Electron, proton, everything is opposites. And you had these experiences. And you spent eons of time and lifetimes balancing out your experience as a soul. And now you've reached that point where you say, is that all there is? And I want to open up to something more. And the thing that you're opening up to is what? It is your intuition. And your intuition is there for you. It's like it's waiting for you, but it's not even waiting for you because it's who you are. You are the expression of, you are the soul in evolution. You are the expression of the who that you are. And now is the time to make that commitment to that experience. So, moving from intellect to intuition. That's one of the chapters in the book Spiritual Power Tools by Jane Hart. We have a community down in Tarpon Springs, Florida. And there's about a dozen of us. We all live about a mile from each other. And we work and we study together and we go online. And if you want a free copy of this book, it's got a chapter on intuition and another on guidance. Just go to centerforenlightenment.com and they'll just mail it to you. Just Center for Enlightenment, Google it, you'll find it. And we'll mail it to you. But the chapter on intuition, from intellect to intuition, talks about the fact that the intuition is that unlimited aspect of your being. Your intellect is that limitation within you. It's almost like your shoe is limiting the size of your foot. The shoe of the intellect pinches and keeps you. You're growing. It's not a perfect analogy because most of us, our feet aren't growing, but still, your shoe is pinching the size of your foot. Don't let your shoe determine the size of your foot. Don't let your intellect keep you stuck. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes I get to situations in my life where I'd like a little bit of help. I'd like a little bit of guidance. I'd like a little bit of something. And the only way that we can really experience that is through that intuitive awareness. And what is that intuitive awareness? That intuitive awareness is unplugging from the limited thinking that we've been doing so that we can have the opportunity to experience the something more. And there are different methods that you can use. Meditation is the best one. Meditation, if you take a little bit of time, even 5 minutes a day, there's plenty of online meditations that you can listen to. There are plenty of ways of meditating. There's infinite numbers of ways. In fact, there's not one right way to meditate. Jane Hart, who wrote this book, She was an executive at Unity headquarters for 10 years, and she's a licensed Unity teacher for many years. And she has taught meditation for years, but she's never once taught a method of meditation, because what she says is, it's just important that you meditate. You just have to meditate. It isn't so important what method you use, just as if I said to you, well, let's say your doctor said to you, you really should exercise. Okay, fine. What kind of exercise should I do? Most doctors wouldn't be dogmatic about that. For you, lifting weights is a good thing. For you, taking a walk every day. For you, yoga, which is so different than lifting weights. For you, doing aerobics. Everybody has a different way that is unique to their needs and their personality. And for you, your meditation is also like that. So find your meditation and then take 5 minutes a day. That's all. It's far more effective. Charles Fillmore said this, sporadic efforts count for little. You've got to be consistent. And yet I know so many people who say, okay, I'm going to meditate, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to save it up until Saturday because I have my day off, and I'm going to meditate for an hour. Guess what? That never works. The people that make progress are those who say, I'm just going to do 5 minutes a day. That's all. Just 5 minutes a day. And then you do it every day. You create a meditation station, a place that's perfect for you. I've got a place where I have my spiritual power tool book, and I've got a couple of spiritual pictures, and I sit and I do my meditation. Now, I do more than 5 minutes a day, because what you find is as you do this work, 5 minutes just naturally becomes 10. And as time goes on, it will increase, but you don't push it. You just stretch it a little bit. So meditation is a very important way of developing your intuition. And that's why I was open to that intuitive guidance that time between the train cars, because we'd been meditating all week, and I'd had this experience of watching this symbolic film, and it opened me up. And you can do that as well. Another thing that really helps open up the intuition is the observer self. And the observer self is kind of like taking meditation and taking it with you in your backpack in your everyday life. It's observing all the time. It's going, okay, there's something going on in me right now. What is it? It's maybe turning off the radio in the car and just experiencing yourself. It's letting go and unplugging from the distractions of self and moving yourself into that intuitive awareness that is the who that you are, that is always speaking to you. But like most of us, we've got too much static going on to really hear what it's saying. It's like it's broadcasting all the time, but we don't hear it. So your observer self is that method that you can use and take with you every day, and just be aware. Be aware of the feelings that you have, because your emotions are the gateway to your subconscious mind. And as you notice the feelings that you have and you're honest about them, you can ask, why am I feeling this way? What am I thinking? What am I believing that's generating this feeling? What's going on? And then journal. That's another tool that you can use, another spiritual power tool that you can use on your journey. Journaling, that means sitting down and asking questions and going into a space of I don't know, and accepting the answers that come. That kind of journaling is so powerful. And there's a chapter in this book on journaling, and it has 5 questions. I'll share them with you right now, but you can go and find out for yourself. And if you get the book, the first question is, what am I feeling right now? The second one is, what's going on that causes me to feel this way? The third question that you could journal is, how's this a repeating pattern in my life? You start seeing earlier similar patterns. The fourth is, what is my soul telling me right now? And the fifth one is, if my soul were in charge and not my ego, how would I handle things differently? And as you write these things out, you find that you receive letters from God. You find, first of all, that you cathartically let go of all of the stuff that you're holding on to that's preventing you from hearing your intuition, the voice of intuition. You let go of the static. And then you start getting messages. I always find I have 2 journals. I have one, actually I have a legal pad is my first journal. And that's where I do my cathartic work, where I write down all the stinking thinking, all the nasty stuff that comes up. You know, my daughter was 10 years old, and she came to me, she said, "Daddy, do you know what I do when the kids are mean to me at school?" I said, "What?" She said, "I write them a letter." I said, "Oh?" She said, "Oh, don't worry, Daddy. I don't give them a letter. I rip it up and I flush it down the toilet." And you know, sometimes when I'm writing, the pen cuts a hole in the paper. I'm so mad. And you know those words you tell me not to use? I put them in the letter. What a healthy thing. But then let go of that. I find you don't want to clog your plumbing, but you can burn it, or you can shred it, or you can rip it up and throw it away. And then take the gems that come to you in your journaling, the messages from God, and put them in another journal and keep that precious and right there at your meditation station. So today what we're working on is opening up to the intuitive mind, the mind of the heart, the mind of the soul, the mind of the fourth dimensional consciousness, as Charles Fillmore called it, and moving out of the intellect, the mind of the ego, the mind of the head, that third dimensional limited consciousness, which served you so well lifetime after lifetime through the opposites until you found yourself at the Peggy Lee point where you said, okay, there's something more, and I know there's something more. Either through desperation or inspiration, you said, there's something here. Now, you might have had an inkling of that when you were a little kid. Maybe when you were a little kid, you went, I feel something. I'm connected to something. You might have been in the woods or looked up at the stars. That something that you knew is always there, has always been there, and you can now consciously cultivate it as an adult by tapping into your intuition, using your meditation, your observer self, your journaling. And right now we can just close our eyes and open our hearts and move into this time of meditation and let yourself just be. Let it be. You don't have to go anywhere or do anything in consciousness. You don't have to add anything to the who that you are. This moment contains all that you need, all that there is for your intuitive awareness. And if there's something that has come that you brought in with you, that you carried into this room with you, that you have a question about, just let go of it right here and now. And give thanks for the answer to whatever question you might have. I loose you and I let you go. I fully and freely release you. And in this sacred space, this quiet space, feel free to ask whatever you need to ask. And then go into a space of I don't know and just be silent and don't think. I trust that my intuition is the mind of God in my heart, the mind of my soul. My next step in my soul evolution. And I let myself awaken to the beauty of the fact that my intuition will be speaking to me for the rest of this day, this week, I may have asked something in my meditation here today, and even if I had no conscious awareness of any answer, the answer is already here. All I got to do is wait for it to hatch. It may come as I'm stopped at a stoplight or in the shower or peeling potatoes. It will come. That's the beauty of the intuition. It's always, always humming, always speaking to me. And sometimes I have to let go of it. Sometimes I have to just not be paying attention to it for it to slip in with that divine message for me. Thank you, God. Thank you for my intuitive guidance. I am now open and receptive to my intuitive guidance from the living Spirit of truth. And so it is. Amen.
What a beautiful place to be. Let's stay here for a little while longer in the land of our souls. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return to the land of your soul. Return to the land of your soul.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. And thank you for that great talk. A lot of things that we can use on a daily basis. So very inspirational. One thing I forgot to mention is for the ice cream social next Sunday on Father's Day is if you plan to stay after, there is a sign-up sheet in the kitchen, or you can let Lori Mills know. So she wants to know how much to order. So at this time, we embrace the principle of giving as a spiritual practice. You are invited to take your love offering in your hand, or imagine it if you've already given. And now we will bless our gifts, knowing that as we give, our blessings are multiplied. So please repeat after me. Divine love, in me, through me, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Let us now give thanks for the continued growth and prosperity of our beautiful ministry. Hold these words in your heart. Unity of Gainesville, Florida is richly blessed and in the flow of universal abundance. We give thanks that just the right people with loving hearts and skills to help us grow are attracted to join us. We accept the good that enriches us and all with whom we have contact. We are prosperous, loving, and healthy, joyfully co-creating an abundant life. And so it is.
So it is. All right, join me in bringing our kids in here. It's the light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. It's the light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. It's the light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
I have my buddies Isabel and Valerie with me this morning, and we were talking more about Myrtle the turtle and Charles the turtle at Pondering Pond, and there's a butterfly named Bonita that came along, and one morning they came to the pond, and there was Bonita just so sad, and they said, "What's the matter?" And she says, "I don't know what to do with these wings. Where are my feet?" And they explained to her that we all change. We were once babies, and look at us now. That God is within all of us, no matter what stage. So we did the cycle of the butterfly, and Myrtle explained that that Bonita could fly. And when she started spreading her wings, up she went. But then she came back and she said, "But Myrtle, you can't fly. You don't have wings. You just have that old hard shell." But Myrtle explained that she did what turtles do, and she did it very well. And that everybody has their own special gifts.
What a great lesson. So now let us join together in blessing our children and the children of the world. So rub your hands together, and we have the words right there. Here we go. Children, we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we see the Christ present within you.
We love you, we love you, we really, really love you.
All right, in closing, let us form a circle, and we will sing the peace song, and we will speak the prayer for protection.
We got a big circle. surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.